We here at Washington Watch like to look back on some of the headlines and consider them from a biblical worldview. Joining me to do that is David Closson. He's the director of the Center for Biblical Worldview here at Family Research Council. He's also the author. He wrote a book. It's called Life After Roe, Equipping Christians in the Fight for Life Today. David, thanks for jumping on.
Casey, always a joy to be on the program, and especially for your first day hosting the program. Great to be with you, brother.
Hey, thank you. I appreciate it. It is my first time, and I'm enjoying it. It's a really important job, and some great guests today as well. You're among them, of course. I want to dive into a really important issue. It's chemical abortion at Costco. But before we get there, Dr. Dobson passed away this week. Of course, he was a co-founder of Family Research Council from the beginning, known also as a founder of Focus on the Family, really a legend in the faith and in American politics. How big is his impact? Can you just unpack that for us?
Yeah, Casey, when I found out that Dr. Dobson had passed at the age of 89, one of the scriptures that came to mind is what it says in Psalm 116, precious in the sight of the Lord is the death of his saints. And just imagine if I can use a theological imagination, the roar of heaven when Dr. Dobson entered the gates. The legacy is incredible. You mentioned, co-founder of the Family Research Council, of course, longtime president of Focus on the Family. He also had a hand in founding other groups, including Alliance Defending Freedom, the Family Policy Alliance, the James Dobson Institute, which he gave his last couple of years to. I think it was 8 years ago, Casey, I had the privilege of going to Billy Graham's funeral and got to meet a lot of just legends of the faith, Dr. Charles Stanley and others who have since gone on. And, just a reminder that it's appointed once for man to die, and after that, the judgment, Ecclesiastes 3. There's a time to be born, there's a time to die. And it's just a reminder, some of these legends, like John MacArthur, just earlier this year, passed from the scene. A lot of the times, some of these characters that we cover in the media that kind of didn't finish well. And there's lessons to learn from there. But with Dr. Dobson and someone like John MacArthur or R.C. Sproul, it's a life well lived. It's a life of legacy. And for Dr. Dobson, it's for standing up for the family. He got started just by looking around in the 1960s, seeing the problems that drugs and changing sexual mores were having on the culture, and wanting to take a stand for the family and for the value and sanctity of life. And so I think that's going to be his legacy, strong families, an ethic of life. And I know those of us here at FRC, we are going to continue to carry the torch forward for that legacy as he fades from the scene now. We're going to try to continue that forward.
Yeah, I mean, I see a lot of the honor pouring in, and it's well-deserved. It's funny, though, because in death, he receives this honor. But when you're fighting those decades in the battle, you actually catch a lot more slings and arrows. I mean, you always have faithful believers who are supporting you and, of course, giving as they did. But you take a lot of fire and a lot of criticism, because when you're in this fight, you take persecution, right? And so I think it's just, to me, he's a model for standing strong and staying strong amid persecution. If you finish well, then there is this honor at the end. Speaking of the fight, Costco, chemical abortion. This is a huge fight that is being largely ignored, I think, and I'm glad we're talking about it. Despite so many states passing pro-life laws post Roe v. Wade, as you've written about, you can still get abortions in these states via a drug. Now, we have some good news. Sounds like Costco is not going to sell the drug. Can you explain how is it you can get an abortion in a state where abortion is illegal, or at least very limited? And what does Costco have to do with it?
Yeah, well, Casey, that's the challenge. So many of us know where we were on June 24th, 2022, when the Roe v. Wade decision was overturned in the Dobbs decision. And praise be to God. We'd be some of the most ungrateful people if we didn't praise God and thank him for that decision that is having rippling effects. But we are now facing the most significant challenge we've faced in the pro-life movement since Roe v. Wade, which is chemical abortion pills, that 2-pill regimen that was initially approved in the waning days of the Clinton administration back in September of 2000. Initially when those pills were approved, there were some safeguards, and I put safeguards in air quotes. Right. Those pills are never safe for the baby, but there were some safeguards in place for women. But then over time, first with the Obama administration and then the Biden administration, they took back a lot of those safeguards. Some of those safeguards required, a woman to go in person to a doctor at least 3 times. Those requirements are gone. And now you can get these pills dispensed at a pharmacy. And so whether that's CVS, Walgreens, or Costco. Well, Costco, just a matter of days ago, announced that at their 500 pharmacies, they were not going to carry the chemical abortion pill anymore. Now, they cited low demand, but we know, Casey, there's been a massive outcry and push from Christian conservatives all over this country. So again, I look at this as a win for life, but we still have a lot more to go.
Right. What about CVS and Walgreens? You mentioned them. Where do they land on this? Are they still selling it?
At this point, they are.
Okay.
And so, again, I'm not someone who's usually in favor of kind of performative boycotts.
Right.
But I do think as Christians, we should engage in principled stewardship.
Yeah.
I think that we need to look at what's happened in just the last couple of years. Think of Bud Light. Think of Target. When consumers, and especially Christian conservatives, kind of put their dollars where their mouth is, so to speak, or where their convictions are, companies take notice. And so as of now, CVS and Walgreens do still carry chemical abortion pills. If I was giving advice to Christian consumers, I would look elsewhere. Just because, again, chemical abortion pills, Casey, 63% of abortions that now take place are through the means of this 2-pill regimen. You realize there was actually 1 million abortions last year. For the first time in over a decade, the overall abortion number went up.
Right.
Even
under Republican control.
Yeah, we have Republican control. Roe v. Wade's overturned. So how can this be? Well, it's because this is just an unregulated industry almost. And a lot of those tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands probably of those pills come into conservative states that have ostensibly outlawed abortion, but they come in from New York or Illinois or California. And so that's one of the reasons, FRC and other groups, we're even putting pressure on the Trump administration right now to go back and look at those RIMs, look at those safeguards when it comes to chemical abortion. HHS, Bobby Kennedy need to, again, take a look at this because they are the number one contributor now of abortion in this country.
Well, not only that, I mean, the latest health research that's come out on this has looked at hundreds of thousands of women who've taken these pills, and an alarming percentage, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but alarming percentage have adverse health effects, have to go to the ER.
10.93%.
That's a lot.
Yeah, the abortion industry says these pills are as safe as taking a Tylenol. Historically, they've admitted, though, 1 out of 25 women who take these pills has an adverse health effect. And the study that you're alluding to, the EPPC put out in the spring, it's not just 1 out of 25. Again, 10.93% of women who take these pills have, whether it's sepsis or hemorrhaging or something worse. So these are not safe for women at all, let alone the unborn child.
Wow, sepsis, hemorrhaging. I mean, I know that some of the study was disputed, and as they always are on this issue, but those are serious conditions. This is very serious. As we know, non-chemical abortion has very adverse effects as well and can be very dangerous. And so it doesn't seem like anyone's calling for a total, I mean, I'm sure some people would be happy, but a total ban on the abortion pill wholesale. That's really not what I'm hearing from many people right now, though that would probably be viewed favorably by a lot of those advocates. What they're saying is reinstate the 2016, 2018, 2019 health regulations that Biden undid. Let's just go back to what the health regulations were just, 7 years ago. Is that right? I mean, we're not talking about no one can ever have this again, although of course we'd love that. It's just health things like having a doctor present when you take this pill that could land you in the ER. Is that right?
Well, yeah, and that's a start. This summer, I authored a resolution at the Southern Baptist Convention, actually, that did call to go back to those safeguards. But ultimately, we need to realize it was a very political process that approved these pills.
Yeah.
And so it would be a behoove of the HHS to go back and even look at the initial approval process for these pills. Because, again, they're lethal for babies, but they're also really dangerous for women. And so, again, ultimately, as pro-life Christians, we want to see an end to all abortion, but a starting point would be to go back to those safeguards.
Yeah, I mean, there's the argument against abortion, which is a really powerful one. And then if that 10% number is real, that's very serious. And if concerns about this chemical abortion pill were waved aside for political reasons to make abortion more accessible and women have suffered for it, that's a really big problem that goes beyond the pro-life movement. That if women's health was really put at risk. And my other sense is that there's not a lot of government investigation into that question right now because maybe they don't want to know the answer. About a minute left.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, Casey, and I think that's why for those of us who are social conservatives, there is no greater issue than the dignity and sanctity of life. Again, as Christians, we believe in this because the Bible tells us, it reveals us. We have Psalm 139, we have Luke chapter 1, but I think people of goodwill who just value women, who value all people, can realize this is an issue fundamentally of human harm, human dignity, and it's an issue we need to continue to shine a spotlight on because this issue really, really matters.
And to be clear, as we close out, Trump, yes or no, Trump and FDA could turn this around tonight if they wanted.
They could. They're looking at it, and we need to pray they'll make the right decision.
Well, David Closson, thank you so much for joining us. Great, as always.
Thank you, Casey. God bless.
God bless you as well.